Good afternoon, and GM. Welcome back to Tiny's Universe. I am Tiny Universe, and it is so good to be back. I feel like it's been a month or two away, even though it's only been a little over a week, not even 2 weeks. I have had a wonderful time, a much needed vacation, and a much needed time away, disconnect from everything. So very refreshed and super excited to be back. I think most of you guys that have tuned in know the format and are pretty used to how things go. But if you're new to the channel, my name's Tiny Universe, and I am here to discuss Macroverse at its finest. That is one of the things I love to do. I not only write, I am just overall probably the biggest fan in the world. But about this time is when I bring in a good friend, Mr. Eben Matthews, one of the co-founders of Macroverse, and who knows where we go. Man, it's so good to see you, though. I feel like I said, I feel like it's been like months away.
It's a whirlwind for sure. So you've been gone. I've been slammed, which I've had to cancel / reschedule a couple of events. So we were, at last week's this among them, a couple of storytelling sessions. So, I mean, this is the sickening version of the explanation, but there's just a lot of good stuff happening. And I know you know a tiny little bit of it for Tiny Universe, but can't publicly talk about much of any of it yet. So the obnoxious hype version of it is like it's really good stuff, and it's going to be awesome when people find out what we're doing. I've said a couple times on Twitter, like, you have no idea what we are working on right now. And I think that is true. Like, it won't be a like, oh, really? Like, but it will be a like, what? How did that happen? So it won't be like weird that we're working on stuff that we're working on, but it will be outside the realm of what I think people are expecting in the best possible.
Yeah, totally. I think
this is a.
I was prepared. I was prepared to come and like prod you today, because you like, even on Discord, you're like, there won't be much alpha, but there will be some. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, I can certainly give some updates in a few different arenas, but there are some things happening right now which are the culmination of literally all of this year kind of getting to this point, kind of coming together. And setting the stage for a very exciting, last half-ish of 2024 and an even more exciting 2025. So, just a lot of the right things put in place. I think this is a very good example. As we were laughing and with a team meeting a couple of days ago, we're like, everything we've tried to do since we started Macroverse has generally happened. It's just all takes a year longer than we think it's going
to. So I mean, I don't know. I think I kind of put everything on like a 5-year plan about last year, and said like, and I think it's kind of breaking down into that. I mean, I think which now puts us about probably 3.5 to 4 years.
Something like that.
Total world domination, but.
Well, I think what's a little different right now is there's a lot of things coming together at the same time. So like literally this week, like since Monday morning, like some of the things we've been working on for months, it's like all of the dominoes being kind of lined up. the first handful are starting to like fall into their correct position. And then because we've done a lot of the legwork to get these things set up, the rest of the domino line will follow a lot quicker. So I think it's just a good example of, especially when we're talking to people in the Web3 world, it's a very good example of like just the consistent work and determination to get the right things and the right people in the right places takes time. And once those things are properly set up, then there's a lot that can be accomplished. And so we're right at that precipice. And as I am able to start talking about this stuff, a lot of clarity will kind of come to all of my past, cryptic statements.
It's so funny.
Genuinely very exciting stuff.
I know I don't want to say so many, because I mean, I don't know. It's not like there's so many people, but I mean, like, there's a few people out there that it's still, it's like the updates are still minimal. And I know they're like, come on, you guys are killing me. You're full of it. And it's mostly, we've kind of addressed that in some of the past episodes, as far as like the main communities, I would say, where we see that. And it's pretty rare, but God, I just can't, I can't wait for some of this stuff to like unfold, so I can just, what is it? It's like the Steve Colbert with the big sign where it's like, I told you so. That's like
let me give a handful of updates I can't talk about. So there's other than these kind of bigger dominoes that I'm talking about, like there's just a lot of production continuing as well. So for anyone that knows what we were doing with Robot Chicken earlier this year, with the studio behind Robot Chicken, Stupid Buddy Studios, we're launching a new graphic novel series with them called Von Dingles, which we started on Kickstarter, but we got some other stuff coming down the road with that. We're well into issue 3 of 4 of that as far as the art production goes. So we're very, very much on track to deliver that book around the time that we had in the Kickstarter campaign, like right around Comic-Con. We should be done with the full thing. It looks amazing. Adam, my co-founder and writing partner, who's mostly written this one solo, with a little bit of feedback and input, but he's really done all the majority of the heavy lifting on the writing for Von Dingles, and it's great. I mean, it's really good. Patrick, who's doing the artwork,
I was one of the supporters on that. I still get the email updates and stuff, and I see some of the art and some of the little sneak peeks that come out. And I keep up that's something actually that was on kind of like my list, either on here or off camera, to ask you about, because I've been wondering, as a supporter, like as a
Kickstarter backer, yes. You and the rest of the backers will get the book before anybody else, but it is going to get a traditional comic store release and all that as well. So we'll have there'll be a special version of it for the Kickstarter backers, and then goes out to the broader market from there. I can't promise this because we're still figuring out the details, but we might have a special preview of part of it at Comic-Con this year coming up at the end of July, which will be exciting. And we're trying to coordinate whether we can do a signing with some of the Robot Chicken guys who might be down there as well. So if anyone happens to be at Comic-Con, we are working on trying to put a few things together. We will definitely be there. We will not have a booth this year. We'll be running around having a bunch of meetings and hanging out with people. But if anyone is there and wants to connect for coffee or anything else, like, we'll definitely be around. And then
you're answering all of my questions.
Good. Yes. Well, it's coming up. It's coming up pretty quickly. So we're like end of July. Couple of the things that we're working on, we're hoping we're going to be able to start announcing around Comic-Con as well. So that's a little pending, depending on kind of final contract questions. But if it's not at San Diego, it'll probably be at New York in October. So there's definitely some bigger announcements to come, coordinated around Comic-Con one way or the other. And then so Von Dingles looking amazing. Like, I am so happy with the way that it has come out, and everyone that's worked on it has done an incredible job. I think the Kickstarter backers are going to be incredibly happy with the book. And we're already starting to talk a little bit about what comes next after that. So I think there's some fun there too.
Was that there? That is coming in, like, for some of us, like a hardcover, maybe.
Yeah. It'll have both a hardcover and a softcover version.
Nice.
there are some other kind of fun perks that we're working on the final fulfillment around. So anything that was in the campaign, will all be coming around at the same time. So yeah, very, very cool to see that. And then Quirkies, some people may know we're working on a Quirkies comic series with the Quirkies team, and got some really fantastic, new stuff in from the art team. I don't want to steal their thunder with any announcements, but some really
I had a question. I didn't know if that was going to be more community based for them.
Yeah, so it's a
how was that going to be kind of released?
Yeah, it's a traditional comic series at its core. So it's it's planned as a 4-issue series. We're working on if we can pull it off, we're working on a really cool thing that, again, I can't say just yet. And I know the Quirky wants to, be able to announce these things themselves. So, so I won't steal that thunder, but there is some really cool progress there. And again, mostly want to just shout out the creative teams. Like the art is coming out amazing, that we're getting colored pages, which look incredible, doing some really fun cover comps, which look awesome. So like, we're just very, very much on track there. I don't think we've announced another series that we're working on, where we just got all the art for issue 1 done. It's actually Daniel doing the art, who did your Dead Town story.
His style is absolutely mind-blowing.
It's so good. This one is a fantasy series, and he does an incredible job with a kind of it's a little bit of a kind of steampunk Game of Thrones, Wizards of the Coast kind of aesthetic, and it's really, really cool.
And is that color work?
So he's done all the line art, and now now it's moving into coloring and lettering. So he's got all of his line art for issue 1. It looks amazing. And then we've got another project that we want to roll him into, that is another one of Adam and my original things that we've been working on for a while. So I don't know if he even knows that yet, but
he'll find out soon.
That's right. So yeah, we've had the pleasure of doing a bunch of shorts with them, and now this full book. And there's he's not only incredibly talented, but a joy to work with. Just really
Well, I know just in the couple conversations I had with him, super cool, super humble, super nice guy. I mean, it's really weird to have someone, I look at him and I'm like, God, to see like how talented he is. And he was like telling me how much he liked my story and stuff. And I'm like, what are you kidding? Like, this is crazy. But no, I mean, like, to see all that stuff come together, and man, that was one of the coolest experiences for sure. But definitely, I'm a huge fan. Not just because he worked on my story, but getting to kind of talk to him and then kind of see his other work, man. I love even kind of like I call it almost like that tattoo style art, but like he's got a super cool portfolio that.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic stuff. It just never disappoints. And given where you're headed with your next Dead Town story, I suspect he'll be working on that as well. So yeah, I mean, trying to think of what else. I mean, there's just there's a lot going on simultaneously. Oh, I can give a little Sal Bones update, which is very exciting. So anyone that doesn't know what Sal Bones is, this is a long gestating, very exciting project. So actually, Bennett, who is now our head of business development, we met him prior to that, and part of the thing that we started working on was this series that he created called Sal Bones. Sal Bones is a character from the Deadheads NFT collection, and for a long time, Bennett was particularly known for his character. He still has PFP as this character from Deadheads. So he took this character from the Deadheads universe, created his own storyline and complete kind of world around this character. And then we have been working on quite a while, turning it into a graphic novel. So we have an incredible writer working on this. He's got a lot of TV and animation experience. We really approached it a lot like a TV show in the sense of kind of how it's structured and how it's broken down. And then Hoyt Silva, who's a amazing illustrator has come on to do all the artwork for it. And so we've been taking a slightly different approach with this, in that it's fully written, and now Hoyt has completed layouts for the entire series. So the first 8 episodes is season 1, and it's quite a journey that we take Sal on as we find him entering the underworld, and then trying to figure out what his life is going to be once he lands in our version of the underworld, which we call Dis in this series.
That's one of those, I feel like, God, there's so many directions it could go.
Yeah.
And like for me, it would definitely be like a mafia feel.
Yep. There is I would call it like, we've tried to keep it not all ages. It's definitely kind of PG-13. We deal with some serious stuff in there, but it's also a lot of fun. So it's got a little bit of a different tone than a lot of the other stuff that we've made, where it's, Von Dingles is probably the most comedic thing we're working on right now. And then obviously things like Dead Town are, kind of more deadly serious. And then this kind of falls in a little bit of a sweet spot where there's some genuine comedy, and there's some really kind of cute moments, funny moments, fantasy moments. But then there's also this, kind of mob story happening, and the struggle for power, and who is in control of what, and what does it mean to try to reclaim your humanity in the afterlife. And there's I could easily kind of see this being if Pixar made a slightly edgier movie, it would fall into that realm. So it's a lot of fun, and being able to sit down, we don't normally do this. So being able to sit down and see the full season all completely broken out at the layout stage has been really cool. And we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with Hoyt and Barrington, who's the writer, and just kind of going through, not just episode by episode, but looking at the whole arc of the whole series, and finding a few places to make that a little bit better, to tie up a few, things that needed to have some better connectivity and things like that. So it's a different process for us, and it's been a really good one. And I think it's going to take a little while to get from that to finished, material, but we're building this one where it's really leaning into what we can do on the Tap Story side, but then also having everything we need to do a print edition, down the road as well. So it's going to be very cool to see that come out. And then, in addition to our own Drip House stuff, I've been working a little bit with both Jason Trinidad on the Vogue side. We've got our first Vogue drop coming up very soon. Both a extension of the story and some of the characters that will be appearing on the Drip House channel tie into what we're doing in season 1 of the comic series. And then we're doing something completely unexpected, which I'm not going to say what it is, but it is really cool, and is a way for a lot of different people to collaborate on this one piece of the Vogue that I think is going to be really exciting. Also coming out through Drip. And there, I will tease that there is a digital physical connection to that as well, which is going to be very cool. And then Jason Brubaker's channel as well is this far away from launching. So I've seen all of his first collection. It is incredibly cool. I am super excited about it. And we might have a few surprises for Macroverse and DMC fans as well. So very cool. Yes.
I feel like I get a good surprise every week. So
yeah,
I mean, especially now, I've been playing the game a little bit more, so I'm getting more and more each week. So it's been fun watching them roll out.
Yeah. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to shout out real quick. So the reason we were starting a little bit late this evening is this is just one of the magical things about the Web3 world in some ways, even though it's actually very adjacent to it. So in early Clubhouse days, I wandered into a conversation that was partly about NFTs in the early days of NFTs, but it was also kind of a bunch of artists and, illustrators kind of just talking about what could this mean and what could this open up. And there was a young woman who was in art school, and she spoke about kind of her own creative journey. And I ended up reaching out to her afterwards and started to get interested in what she was working on. And she had been working on a webcomic that she had tried to put out, 5-6 years ago now, and had done a little bit of it, but then got a little bit stuck around the writing. She had a big Instagram following at that point, but so she was, kind of figuring out her style and kind of what she wanted to do, and how to, what could she do with this following of people that, had started to appreciate her work. And so that turned into her interning with us for about a year, and us, Adam and I particularly working with her to kind of develop this concept into a full script and story. And so this is now about a 4-year labor of love working with her to develop the story. And now she, we were just going through her last batch of pages, and this has gone from, this little concept that was, I don't mean to diminish it by saying little, but kind of, the earliest version of the concept to now a fully fledged, full graphic novel that's, I'd say 80% drawn at this point. And so we get together every couple of weeks to review the pages, and I give her, feedback as needed. And it's gorgeous stuff. And I do hesitate to say this out loud because I don't want to, number one, jinx it, and number two, it sounds potentially a little boisterous. I am not taking any of the credit for this. She has done all of the hard work, but it's, for me, one of the best first graphic novel efforts of anyone's that I've ever seen. It's so personal. It's such a specific point of view. It is her personality and her experience and who she is as an artist, just dumped onto the page, both as, story and art. And it feels very special to me. So I said to her, I was like, you can't get a big ego about this, but it's this is the kind of thing that I think people might really kind of not believe is your first book. It's that, that first author kind of a thing. And that's what it feels like to me. This is less a comic and more of a, it is a graphic novel.
Yeah. Cool novel.
And it's just, it feels very special to be a part of that journey. And I can't wait till, we get to start showing some of that, because it's literally been a 4 to 5 year process, labor of love to get to this book. So I think, we've been talking a little bit about, potentially releasing some of it on Drip House as well, and kind of how we might start to kind of seed it out there for people. And I think we'll get to that a little bit later this year. But anyway, it's all around just, there's a lot going on.
It's all building.
It's all building.
Again, I've always kind of looked at Macroverse as a long-term thing. I just knew that from the storytelling perspective. And it just, that's kind of what appealed me to the whole thing in the first place. So I don't know. For me, it's just exciting. It's exciting to see it build. It's exciting to see it grow and start coming into light. And, as this stuff releases, especially the teasers on Drip House and stuff, man, I just can't help but to get so excited. I actually went back and reread Dead Town again today because I was bored. And it's gets to the end and it's part 2 coming. And I'm like,
yep.
I need it.
But win.
So it's oh man.
I'll admit something here, which I haven't really talked about before. So, Stephen Perkins, who does the artwork for Dead Town, we met him, feels like probably 7-8 years ago now. Way before Macroverse, is Adam and my production company. Before Macroverse, we did a project where Stephen was the artist, made a bunch of kind of deluxe motion comics-y kind of thing with him. And it was really the thing, we had this script, this Dead Town pilot that had been kicking around for a TV show and the Bible for it and everything else. And, we knew we wanted to do it as a comic, but we hadn't really found the right artist for it. And it was really coming off of that project where, it was the brainstorm of oh man, I think Steven is the artist. And so I think some of these projects, it really is the right person for the gig. And no, you look at that series and it's he is the right person for that story. And then, we finished season 1, we started season 2, and it's been, continuing to kind of very, very, very slowly move forward. But as we started to build the company, as we started Macroverse and started to build the, tab story format and figure out all that stuff, Steven has also become our head of production. And so he often gets kept very, very busy working on a bunch of other stuff, which has taken his time to work on Deadtown down to a tiny sliver of what it should be. And so, part of my goal for this next year, and he and I talked about this, is like there are parts of that he wants to keep doing, but it's now my mission to go like, we got to free up that time and probably bring someone else in to help with that part of it. And actually have started that. So like we've got a friend of Steven's named Ivan that you'll see his credit more and more in some of the recent episodes that have been coming out. And so, starting to kind of transition him back to the thing that is easier to begin with, which is, making Deadtown and making comics. So, we will see some acceleration around that. But, about a third of season 2 is done. And if you like season 1, it's way better. We introduce some new characters. We go to some places. That's very exciting. We get to see some other factions, and how these different groups interact with each other. The stakes get way higher. The heat gets turned way up. So I can't wait to get back to that and for him to get back to that. But that is, we are slow because of that. So Steven's talents and efforts have been bringing the rest of this.
God for him doing all that, because look at all the wonderful content that's been.
Exactly. So it is a direct trade-off though, which is, again, very appreciative of everything that he does, because it is is integral to everything that we do. And I want him to be able to make more zombies.
I'm telling you, and even going back through it, because now I've read it so many times, I can kind of I can blow through it pretty quickly. Yeah. And there's some pages that for me are like, I could make them into posters for sure. God, there's times today where I was just like going to be like, look at this. He's such a weird guy.
Oh yeah, no, it's at some point we'll have to have him either come on here or another stream and just talk a little bit about his process, because he's a unique illustrator in the way that he makes stuff. And like occasionally he'll send me like a photo of a piece of Bristol board where he's like rubbed a bunch of dirt on it and then like splattered a bunch of ink on that. And he's like making textures, and then you'll see that little thing show up somewhere. We had him over for Thanksgiving. When was it? I think maybe it was post Thanksgiving. Oh no, it was post Thanksgiving. Yeah, when we first started working on Deadtown, he was like, "Save me the carcass," and so and then. There are you can actually kind of see it if you're looking for it in a few of the zombie, like the close-up zombie faces. Like those are made from like textures and some bits and pieces of the way that he like photographed and treated some of the like turkey carcass and things. So
that's crazy.
It's crazy.
That does explain so much, so because I was gonna say some of it is just so realistic and like.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people think he's just drawing over like their actual photographs, and they're not. Like everything is hand drawn, but he does use a lot of reference and pull in a bunch of these elements. And it's like that's a foreign world to me. Like I would not be able to do what he does. He is a master at that craft. And
it's definitely amazing.
So I was gonna say, I've been so busy this week, I haven't been able to talk as much on social media about this last Macroverse drop that we put out on Drip House. And this is a really special one. So I did want to take a minute, and then we can point people to this segment. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Assuming I can find the, here we go. The tab. So can you see this now? This is the Macroverse channel on I didn't notice we crossed 190,000 subscribers. That's pretty cool.
Oh.
So this last drop is directly related to an earlier one. And this is the thing I wanted to point out. So, people have seen digital pools if they've been paying attention to the channel, or if you know digital pools from Macroverse. We did this preview, signature editions of the digital pools, character collection, a bunch of really cool characters that got dropped in here. And then the two ultimates in here was this golden goddess and golden god, essentially. And in the world of digital pools, basically this is a world where we're set in the future, and you can essentially go into this digital pool and go and have kind of whatever experience you would like to have in the digital world. Uh-oh. Did we get disconnected? What happened here?
No, I still hear you.
You can still see me? Okay, weird. I got kicked out of the studio for a second, so just let me get back in here and make sure. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Oh wait. Now I'm hearing. Hold on. What is happening? All right. Now you can still hear me?
I can still hear you.
And see me. Okay. Very strange.
I can see the digital pools.
All right. That's weird. I'll figure this out in a minute. All right. So anyway, so I have these two ultimates. These are one of ones. And one of the things that we thought would be fun is to show how do we take these characters and turn them into fully formed comics. So these characters got, created by Matt Stevens, the artist on Digital Pools. He, put these pieces together from the traits that are in the character collection, customized them to make them ultimate editions. And then we came up with this idea of putting, this one up, putting the ultimates up for auction. Anyone that decided to get that one of one could then decide who that character would be in the universe of Digital Pools, and they would create a custom short story based on that character. So basically, like, here's a way for us to show this process that you are familiar with, but a lot of people are not. So it turns out nobody bit on that, and I think because they didn't understand it is my theory anyway. So I decided, like, let's use this as a test case anyway. So I bought that character. So I own this girl, which I'm very excited about. And then working with Alex, who's the writer, and Matt, who's the artist on Digital Pools, we came up with a short story. And that is what became this latest drop from not this past week or the circuit. So this is the short based on that character. And what we came up with is, that character is actually the bad guy in the story. So she is a kind of puppet master style villain in the world of Digital Pools. By the way, this is all now canonical as well, which is something I think is very cool. Oops, this is not loading at the moment for some reason. Let me try that again.
It's just because you're live.
I'm sure it is, because anytime you try to demo something in a live environment, it is going to go wrong. Okay, I don't know why those pages aren't loading at the moment, but there are 71 pages of
Well,
story.
you didn't have a ton of time to talk about this. I did see Steven, and I saw,
Yeah, I know I saw a couple posts about it, but I just wanted to highlight. So can't show you the story. You'll have to find it on our channel at the moment for some reason. But there's a 71 page /tap story where I think one of the things that Steven came up with, which I did want to show here, is if you look at the different cover images for the different rarities, this actually tells part of the story. So here's that character that we saw represented in the character collection. She's watching these kind of like horrific things happen in the Digital Pools, which it turns out, spoiler alert, she's kind of the puppet master for. And as we get to this part in the story, there's a missing cover here, and we're going to talk about that for a second. But there's a fifth cover, which is the limited edition one, which is yet to be distributed, where we see this character appear in this hologram that she's watching. And so she's kind of like chilling, watching these horrific things, pulling the strings for these things, eating her popcorn, the missing cover shows our kind of hero in the story show up. And then in this last one, in the ultimate, she's out of the chair. You can see a little glow happening off screen. And our kind of hero in the story is moving away into the adventure, essentially. So even like this sequence of covers tells a little bit of a story that then pays off inside the issue. But the main point of all this, and I hope people do collect and read this episode, this is a completely brand new, uniquely created, Drip House exclusive episode of Digital Pools that is directly based on collecting something on the platform, working with us to create a story for that character, seeing that story be realized as a brand new comic, and then having that comic be distributed back out to now 190,000 subscribers through the platform. So I just think it's a very cool mechanic to be able to continue to flesh out these different worlds, in this case, Digital Pools, but to do it very specifically with the community and with the collectors on Drip House who have an idea for, or just want to go through this process of, own a character, see it turn into something, see it go back out to the community, and in this case, go back in front of a pretty significant audience. So I think it's very cool. And so we wanted to kind of demonstrate that process, as well as make a really cool episode set in the world of Digital Pools.
Super cool. I definitely secured mine for sure. All of them.
I was going to say that the missing episode there, or the missing cover there, is something we're going to distribute this week. So we didn't do a new drop this past Sunday. Instead, we wanted to play around with giving out some rewards for participation. And so we did the first one of those a couple days ago with a very special to me exclusive animated version of Chan from Deadtown as a character card. And then we've got a few more of those planned for different activity that we see on the channel between now and Sunday. We will do a official kind of next drop on Sunday, but everything that you're doing on our channel between now and then, we're watching. Dun, dun, dun. So as people do whatever they do to support the channel, to interact with things on the channel, to secure their collectibles, to get on the leaderboard, all the different things you can do, we're paying attention to that. And we've got some very fun things to send out to people based on those activities. So just, do what you would normally do, but also know we're watching.
We're always watching.
Always watching. So very fun. Very, very fun.
I mean, I feel like that goes back to day one, though. Like, it's always been participation rewards. So
yeah, exactly. This just gives us a very direct way to do it in a compressed time frame, which I think is a lot of fun. Yeah. So it was exciting to me that you were one of the people on the leaderboard that got that Chan piece. And honestly, like, part of the reason that we decided to do that this week is, this has been in a weird way, like, this has been the lowest number of kind of contributions to the Macroverse channel specifically. Yeah. I don't take that as a bad thing. I think, the platform is growing, and so there's a lot more kind of activity being spread across.
It's getting spread around.
So in a weird way, like, I kind of said, okay, this is the lowest number of donations we've gotten in a particular week. Let's take that opportunity to give more stuff because we can. And so instead of doing a full drop, like, let's start to reward some of that activity. And so for me, like, I actually love the fact I did a post about this. There's one of the biggest collectors on the platform who has supported the Macroverse channel and the DMC and a lot of other creators is the Senka, and he's currently, I think, #1 on the leaderboard. And it, I would have loved for him to get that piece, but what we came up with is, like, let's take the top 10 and give 5 of these, randomly 50-50 shot to, anyone in the leaderboard. I didn't get one, and I'm on the leaderboard. He didn't get one, he's on the leaderboard. But everyone that did get one, one person had, $5, everybody else had put in, about $1. And I kind of love that. I kind of love that played out that way. So it's like, here's something that, is to me one of the most special things that we put out. And I think it went to an awesome group of people. And I keep kind of honing in on, like, for what I want us to build on Drip House is, we so love and appreciate the people that have been bigger supporters, but I think, it really is about building a bigger and bigger and bigger audience of smaller supporters that, kind of are the foundation, and then being able to reward those bigger supporters, more and more and more as it grows. So it's a good balance, and I feel like we're actually having a lot of fun and in a good spot with it.
It's been one of those things that when we first started it, I wasn't sure. I was very skeptical, and it's grown into one of those things. I'm on there every day. I mean, I love it, and it's not just Macroverse. I mean, like
there's so much good stuff.
There's stuff that I've become
all the time. Every day, there's literally every day there's new awesome stuff.
I just saw someone else get on there the other day. It was Waka Flocka Flame, and I was like, oh gosh, what's happening? But the attention that's going to bring. I mean, just to see some of these bigger names.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my personal favorite, but man,
awesome. Yeah.
Like I can already think of like so many collaborations and stuff that'll start, and how many other people's gonna follow right behind that.
Exactly.
But to see stuff like that, and to see like the hip hop community and musicians and so many other people jumping into it, I mean, just kind of shows me that it's starting. It's really starting to take off.
Oh, yeah. No question about it. I remain very, very bullish on and both, and really not even as a Web3 platform, just as a platform in general. They've really figured some stuff out that is exciting. Excited to get more. I mean, we're going to keep getting more people that are in our ecosystem on there as well. So we've got a couple of additional channels that we're planning on getting up and running in the short term here. One which will be pretty obvious, and one that will be a total surprise. And is also awesome. Lots more to come there. I will quickly talk about this week's DMC drop, another fantastic collaboration with an artist who goes by Keek Art. Totally different. It's kind of what I love about this. The stuff we're doing with DMC is, there's obviously the kind of like comic, animation character side of things, which is very directly tied into what we're building with DMC and the DMC universe concept. But this is also kind of a platform for all types of creators to bring their own style and their own point of view and their own, kind of approach to creating art around this concept. And so, what Keek did, I think, is totally unique and among the things that we put out so far, as a totally different vibe, but yet also feels very much like his interpretation of this concept and relationship with DMC as an artist. And so just a very cool, very, very cool drop. There's a couple.
I was gonna say it's definitely got a lot more of an art feel.
Yeah, it's a more of a fine art drop for sure. And there's a couple of pieces which we haven't shown yet, which will come out over we'll reveal over the course of this week as the kind of chase pieces in this collection that are also just dynamite, like just absolutely cool. And I will tease one and say that there's a 3D animation component to one of them, which is a little unexpected and also really cool. I think another great drop. And then we've got a few more lined up, which are also just very, very cool. So the hits literally keep coming for the DMC channel. We're probably going to be a little later than we expected with the first DMC club kind of meetups and things that we've been putting together. I will take the majority of the responsibility for that, of just being totally slammed with these other things we've been working on. But Daryl is definitely down, and we just have to coordinate it to get that put together. So I think we had initially planned on getting the first one done during the month of June. I think the reality now is it's going to be early July. But once we kick them off, we'll have them on a regular kind of monthly cadence.
Yeah.
So that is definitely coming for our DMC crew and record holders and all that good stuff. And I fear this is probably where we need to wrap up. I'm just noting
Yep.
I need to deliver a bunch of files to the printer for that's happening in England in a couple weeks. And yes, lots more to come. So.
And I am very, very excited to hear about all of that stuff very soon.
It will be very soon. And by very soon, I mean weeks, not months for some of it. And then by the end of the year, you'll kind of have a full picture of everything we've been talking about and teasing and being excited for the first half of the year.
Pinky in the brain and
yes.
total world
I think so, Brian, but what do we supposed to mean?
All right, man. Well, listen, it was super good to see you. I mean, like I said, I've been dying for it because it seems like it's been probably a month or two, but I know it's not.
Like it, yeah. Well, welcome back. Glad you had a good break as well.
I needed it. So
yeah,
we'll catch up.
We will catch up, and we'll be back with a next update around. I feel like same-ish time and place next week. But appreciate everyone who has tuned in. Follow us on socials. It's at Macroverse, at Ebonverse, at Tiny's Universe. Tiny's Universe? No, that's the name of the show. What's your
Agent Tiny?
Secret Agent Tiny. Thank you. I should.
Yeah, I had to think about it because I'm like, I don't know.
And then of course join us on Discord, discord.gg/Macroverse. If you are watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. There will be more YouTube content coming from us as well. That's one of the things that will be happening later the year and early into next year. And more fun to come. And I'm going to hit the end stream now.